name is Larisa Trainer. I just want to tell you a story about how Jesus became real to me, how I met him. I grew up in a Christian family, so we always knew God. Lived on a cattle ranch. I have 4 sisters, 1 brother, a twin sister, and we lived pretty busy lives on the ranch. And I didn't really get along with my sisters very well. I was the sensitive one, they were the strong-headed ones. So it was a little bit rough that way, not blaming them. I wasn't easy to live with either. We didn't have a very good relationship, especially with my one sister, Brittany. We butted heads constantly. We had a love-hate relationship. We tolerated each other barely. But I was hard to get along with as well, so that's probably why. And in high school, I didn't have a very good experience. It was just rough. A lot of emotional bullying, I guess, in a way. So after high school, I had to decide what I wanted to do. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So my parents suggested Bible college, and I decided, yeah, that's what I want to do. We went to Calgary, Rocky Mountain Bible College, and then when everybody left, I kind of sank into depression. I was in school again, and I didn't realize that I wasn't ready for that. So, my brother lived in Lethbridge, which is just a couple hours from there, and my sister Brittany lived in a little town called Cochrane that was an hour away. So I did have family that weren't too far away, but wasn't a quick drive, and not getting along with Brittany, I wasn't going to reach out to her, so I struggled really hard, and I just locked myself in the bathroom and cried and really didn't know what to do with all my emotions. And at one point I wanted an escape, so I grabbed a butter knife and I tried to cut my wrist. And of course it didn't turn out how I wanted it to. I wanted to feel something other than the emotional pain. So I tried cutting myself, and yet, no matter how hard I was trying, it bled a little bit, but it didn't really seem to be doing anything. And at first I didn't know why, and so then I ended up stopping, and I was crying again, and it went on for about 3 days, and then a counselor came, knocked on the door, and found me. So she brought me out, and she saw my wrist, she saw the mark, and she started praying for me right away. And I remember looking up at her and seeing her crying, and I was just like, why is she crying for me? She doesn't even know me. And so she ended up taking me to her room, her dorm room, and so I could calm down. And I took her phone and I phoned my sister Brittany. She's the closest one. So I phoned her and I left her a message, and I just said, Britt, I really need to talk to you. Please call me back. That's all I said. And about the day went by, and it was probably almost supper time, and I heard my counselor was at the door. I was still in her room, and she said, oh, there's someone here to see you. And I didn't know who that could be. So I went out the door, and there was Brittany standing there. And I just started crying. She started crying. She she came up to me, gave me a big hug, and said, "Riss, I love you so much. What's going on?" And she saw my wrist, and she gave me another big hug, and I remember just suddenly feeling this overwhelming sense of safety with her. I left with Brittany. She took me back to her place in Cockram, and she talked with me, and I just remember feeling so safe and secure. And I mean, my brother had reached out to me, and my sister Carrie had reached out to me during when I was at college, and my brother was giving me Bible verses of encouragement, and my sister was telling me, Jesus is there with you, like, don't panic, don't do anything. And I remember thinking, but like, Jesus, why would he want a relationship with me? Why would he care that much? And but when Brittany took me home, I felt so loved and I felt so secure. And she sat me down at the table and she looked at my wrist and she gave it a kiss. And she said, "Please don't ever do that again. You're very loved." And it just, all of a sudden, I realized how much God cared, how much Jesus cares. I know my sisters and my parents were so understanding for me. I look back now and I see how Jesus changed this horrible experience, not horrible, but bad experience, into something healing, and me and my sister, Brittany, have never been closer since that day. I also started realizing that I had believed a lie for so long that my sisters and my brother did not love me. And it's so easy to believe in lies when you listen to them enough. And I started to recognize that was a lie from the devil. And I started to feel loved, and in turn, hopefully, they started to feel more love for me too. And it's just amazing, and Jesus is so real, and that's when he started to become real to me.